I'm Connor Old, and welcome back to another episode of the Old Oscar Countdown. And here we are with episode 2. We're going to be breaking down my best actress predictions. But if you're new to the series, what I do every single week is pick a different Oscar category and predict what I think is going to get nominated for the 2024 Oscars. Then, when we get closer into the Oscar season, we're going to be doing multiple videos a week of different predictions for, say, the Golden Globes, the SAG Awards, Critics' Choice, things like that, reactions, predictions, as we get closer to ultimately that ultimate goal of the Oscars. We are now in my 8th season of predicting. We have consistent year-over-year accuracy. So if you're just coming back, welcome. If you're a new viewer, welcome as well. Essentially, I just go through my 1 to 5 in terms of what is the most likely to get nominated, and then a couple of possible contenders. And of course, these are my final predictions. They will adjust over the course of the season. But I wanted to start off with another big category, the Best Actress category, which is a really competitive category this year, as it always is. That sort of 4th, 5th slot is really up in the air, and particularly when it comes to predicting a winner, it could be 3, maybe 4 people. It's really going to be a race this year, and I'm excited to get to it. So starting off with my first pick ranked in the likelihood of getting nominated. It's not necessarily my winner right now, but my first pick is going to go with Emma Stone for Poor Things. Despite being under 35, Emma Stone is a beloved member of the Academy. She's been nominated 3 times. She's already won. We've already seen her do a little bit of campaigning now, not showing up to the Telluride Film Festival and showing up to Yorgos Lanthimos' short in New York premiere of that. So she's out and about, even though she really can't campaign because the SAG actors are on strike. She's starting to do a little bit of public appearances, which indicates to us that she will be sort of campaigning for this film. I think it's notable that if you look at Emma Stone's 3 nominations for Birdman, The Favourite, and La La Land, if you tally up those movies' nominations, you get an average of 11. What does that tell us? It tells us that when she gets nominated for Best Actress, her movies do very well as well. And I think that's going to be the same thing with Poor Things. Not only did the film win the Golden Lion at Venice, which past winners Shape of Water have won, Roma has won, Nomadland, a great sign that the industry likes it. Not only has it won the Golden Lion at Venice, but we're trying to have critic screenings as well in LA and New York, and we have great sort of reviews already from that group as well. So industry people, critical people, if this is anything like Yorgos' last movie, The Favourite, I expect a lot of nominations above the line and below the line. So that always helps for a performer to have a movie do very well in terms of nominations, and that's very well liked within the Academy. Of course, Yorgos Lanthimos' last movie, The Favourite, won Olivia Colman a Best Lead Actress Oscar, so this isn't necessarily out of the realm of possibility. But what do we know? We know that people like Poor Things. Well, if you know about the movie and you start to read reviews, you know that Emma Stone is the clear lead of the movie. If you like Poor Things, you're most likely going to enjoy Emma Stone and her performance, because it is a bit of a transformational performance in that she's allowed to be very weird, allowed to be very dramatic and theatrical. She plays this sort of Frankenstein monster type in which she is able to sort of have dramatic physical movements and odd sort of speech and pace. Just rave reviews for Emma coming out of the festivals for this film, as well as how great the film is. So that's a really solid aspect of it as well. Now, in terms of winning, I'm a little bit concerned just because she won, less than a decade ago for La La Land. She's still under 35. The Oscars may go, yeah, well, eventually we want to reward her for later down the road. We've already given her an Oscar. We'll just give her the nomination this time. But in terms of a nomination, she's in a movie that we expect to be very well nominated, which are past performances. Those movies were also well nominated, so that's a good trend there. She is the central performance of the film. She's very clearly the lead actress of the film. Her director has a past pedigree of getting her his lead actress stars, Oscars. So there's a great track record. Emma Stone's very well liked within the Academy, and she's in a movie that's well liked. Book it at least for a nomination. Then my second pick, I'm going to go with Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. This was a performance that some people thought would maybe go into the Best Supporting Actress category because she's in a lot of the movie, but not necessarily the clear lead of the film. That being said, they have been starting to campaign her in the Best Lead Actress category, so that's where I expect her to be nominated. There is a little bit of concern in terms of winning on my end, just because it reminds me a bit of the Michelle Williams situation for The Fabelmans last year, where Michelle Williams, if you've seen that film, The Fabelmans, she's in quite a bit of the movie, but she also disappears from the movie in certain chunks, and she probably would have won for Best Supporting Actress last year, but instead went to Best Lead Actress and ultimately lost out to Michelle Yeoh. I have a concern that the same thing's going to happen to Lily Gladstone just because she's in a lot of the movie, but if there was any debate whether or not she should be Supporting Actress or Lead Actress, that concerns me, because that means for some people when they think about the movie, they don't immediately think about Lily Gladstone. But that's about winning. In terms of nominations, I think it's still very possible and very likely, as a matter of fact, even in the Best Lead Actress category. Why? Well, number one, she's in Killers of the Flower Moon. So similarly to Emma Stone and her movie Poor Things, I expect Killers of the Flower Moon to be a multiple nominated movie, above the line, below the line, director, screenplay, whatnot. So that really helps her movie. People like her movie. And then all the reviews we've been coming out, and even more so as the movie has to have sort of its beginning previews this past weekend, directors like Spike Lee coming out and saying how much they love Lily Gladstone, and a lot of people have been coming out saying she really is a standout performance in the film. So that really helps. Of course, she's a standout performance in a really great film. And also, the Oscars love their sort of brand new actress. Now, Lily Gladstone has acted in many films before, a couple of Kelly Reichardt films, but I think for the most members of the Academy, this will be her sort of big breakout. So we've seen this with nominations in the past before, where they love Cynthia Erivo in Harriet, they nominate her, or Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, they nominate her. They get a lot of benefit from being the brand new person where the Academy members can go, wow, who is that? They blew me away. And actually being the new girl sticks out in people's minds, because yes, they love Annette Bening and love Carey Mulligan, but they've sort of nominated them before. There is sort of this sense of, wow, this is a brand new actress who I don't know too much about, giving a great performance and going toe to toe with some of the greatest actors of all time, in DiCaprio, in De Niro. So that's even another added boost in terms of comparison. She sometimes will probably beat out Leonardo DiCaprio in certain scenes. That's a huge plus for her performance, particularly when you have her co-stars talking her up and how much of a great actress she is. So that will benefit her performance as well. So a great performance in a really, I expect to be a very heavily nominated film, going toe-to-toe with some of the greatest actors of all time and outbeating them while also being the sort of hot new thing, will really help Lily Gladstone and her narrative to get nominated for this performance. And then my third pick, I'm going to go with Carey Mulligan for Maestro. Now, if I were to put any money down, I'd probably put it on Carey Mulligan to win right now. The first two I'm a little bit unsure about, but Carey Mulligan, I really see a path for her to win. She's been nominated in the past, but she hasn't won, which I think is a good thing. If we're talking about Emma Stone or her, they're both two young actresses, but you know what, Emma Stone, she's already got one. Let's give one to Carey Mulligan. Similarly, though, to the other two performances, Maestro I expect to be a well-nominated film, not as heavily nominated as Poor Things and Killers of the Flower Moon, but still enough nominations. And the key thing that I think is actually helping Carey Mulligan from the fact that she's been nominated before but hasn't won, gives an outstanding performance in the film. The movie is a biopic about Leonard Bernstein, which Bradley Cooper plays, but from the reviews, people really say it's actually almost Carey Mulligan's movie, that it's similar to A Star is Born, where it's very much a relationship, where it's very much 1A, 1B, rather than she's a supporting wife character. It does seem like it's a really involved character, and she can showcase her talents, which she is so great at doing, and has been nominated in the past, more recently for, say, Promising Young Woman, so we know the Academy does like her. So we have a great performance in a supposedly really well-liked movie, but the big sort of thing that I think people haven't been talking as much about is the connection between the Best Makeup category and the Best Acting category. This is a connection we've seen for many years. It's an obvious connection that other Oscar pundits have pointed out. But it helps, particularly this early on in the season, in terms of determining who the winner is. Sometimes it helps to look ahead. So let's look ahead. Who's going to win for Best Makeup? I don't really see any other contenders except for Maestro. Maestro has the prosthetic artist who won for Darkest Hour, who won for Bombshell, Kazuhiro. Now there's a little bit of controversy in terms of the prosthetics, but it's still notable that in terms of all the sort of big Oscar movies that I mentioned in my Best Picture movie episode last week, Maestro is the one with this most clear prosthetics, transformative kind of a position. And if you look at the past 6 years, the winners of the Best Makeup Award at the Oscars also had a corresponding acting nomination, 6 years in a row. So if I look at in terms of what's winning makeup, in my mind, it's probably not even a competition, because so much of the makeup winners are connected to an acting award, and I don't see something like The Holdovers getting nominated. There's no real prosthetics in any of the other performances. Maybe you can say a Cillian Murphy, but that's at the very end of something like Oppenheimer. So I expect Maestro, because it has the most showy prosthetics, that will actually win makeup. So let's just put that on the table. Let's say Maestro, it's winning makeup. Well, then let's look at the winners of makeup for the past 6 years. First, you have Darkest Hour, 2017. Gary Oldman won the Oscar for Best Actor. So you have a winner there. Then you have 18, 19, and 20, where you have Bombshell, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in 20, and 19 was Vice. So you have those three. They had acting nominations, but they didn't win. Then in 21, you have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Jessica Chastain won, of course, for Best Lead Actress. And then you have Brendan Fraser winning for The Whale. So we have this connection where in the past 6 years, half of the makeup winners not only got their actor nominated, also got their actor the win. So that's a huge sort of a bonus. If we think Maestro's winning, well, in the past 6 years, half of the winners, their performance also won. So that's a huge bonus to either Bradley Cooper or Carey Mulligan. And I think Bradley Cooper has a harder chance of winning for Best Lead Actress because he's got some real stiff competition in heavyweights in Cillian Murphy and Leonardo DiCaprio. But let's not forget, even though Bradley Cooper's the one with the more prosthetics, Carey Mulligan also is in all of this film. She also has to put on old lady makeup in the later half. She's not as transformative as Bradley Cooper, but she has makeup on. So there is still that connection as a possibility. So you have the makeup possibility, which tells us in the past 6 years, the winner of the Best Makeup Award, which I believe is Maestro in a landslide, one of the movie's performance has been nominated 6 years in a row. So at the very least, Carey Mulligan's going to get nominated. But in terms of the win, if you think Maestro's winning for Best Makeup like I do, it's almost a 50-50 shot, at least in terms of the past 6 years of either Bradley Cooper winning or Carey Mulligan winning. I think Carey Mulligan has a little bit of a clearer path to win, and I think you should really watch out for her. So she's definitely, I think, going to get nominated, well-established actress in a well-liked movie, but with that makeup connection and underrated sort of a little bit that not everyone is really looking that far ahead, but here at Old Oscar Countdown, we do. That's the kind of thing that will help you sort of clear the race and understand that actually maybe Carey Mulligan should be the front runner to win for Best Lead Actress. Keep that in the back of your mind. Then with my fourth pick, I'm going to go with Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall. And this is a bet on two movies, Anatomy of a Fall and The Zone of Interest, which is really a bet on the international branch of the Academy. Not only is Sandra nominated for Anatomy of a Fall, but also she's in the Zone of Interest. So she's the clear lead of Anatomy of a Fall. She's a supporting actor in Zone of Interest. I don't think she's going to get nominated for that, but it doesn't hurt the fact that she has two potentially Best Picture nominees that Oscar voters are watching and liking in terms of her presence, in terms of her awareness. I think she has to follow a similar path to Isabelle Huppert when she got nominated in 2016 for Elle as a sort of sophisticated European actress who's been doing great work in Europe for all these years and now just finally being recognized by the Academy and the Hollywood Academy. She also speaks English, so in terms of campaigning, that's the clear sort of connection there. But if you want to make the sort of most simplest basic answer, you have to go down this rabbit hole with me. So, who's distributing Anatomy of a Fall? Neon. Who distributed Triangle of Sadness and Parasite? Also two past Palme d'Or winners. Neon. Both those movies got nominated for Best Picture. So, I also think it's not crazy to think that Anatomy of a Fall is going to get nominated for Best Picture. I had it in my rankings just last week on last week's episode. I think it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. And I don't think it's crazy to say Neon, the distributor that got Parasite Best Picture, Neon that got Triangle of Sadness, another Palme d'Or winner, another European, another international film nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it's crazy to say that another European Palme d'Or winner in Anatomy of a Fall is going to get nominated for Best Picture. Okay, then it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. Well, unlike Parasite, unlike Triangle of Sadness, this is not an ensemble movie. This is very much Sandra Hüller's movie. She is Anatomy of a Fall. So if you like the movie enough to nominate for Best Picture, you will most likely really appreciate her performance. Her performance is very complex. A lot of the movie you're trying to figure out, did she do it? Did she not do it? You read scenes differently. You're unsure. It goes back and forth. It's a real powerhouse performance, and she is the movie. She is the central part of the movie. So in the most basic sense possible, my sort of core reasoning is I believe Anatomy Anatomy of a Fall will get nominated for Best Picture. If it's nominated for Best Picture, that means you probably like the movie. If you like the movie, then you have to like Sandra Hüller's performance. It's like saying, oh yeah, I really liked Joker, but I didn't like Joaquin Phoenix. It's like that. It makes absolutely no sense. Of course, people like Joker also like Joaquin Phoenix's performance. It's so central to the film in the same way this one is. So I expect Sandra Hüller to get nominated for Anatomy of a Fall in my 4th slot. And then in my 5th slot, this was really difficult for me. You can really sort of insert any one of my possible contenders in here, but I went with my brain over my heart, and I went with Annette Bening for Nyad. I saw this movie out of TIFF, so I have a good understanding of why it would get nominated, and really on paper, it's got everything you want. Annette Bening, multiple-time nominee, well-respected actress, so she got that going for her. The performance itself is a biopic playing a real-life person, and Diana Nyad, who the Academy loves their biopics. She's not transformative in the way she looks, but in terms of Annette Bening really captures Nyad's brashness and sort of directness and sort of weird kind of way of approaching other people. It's not just, oh, it's Annette Bening. She does have a bit of a transformative role in that she's playing a character that is noticeable. And then the physical feat of it, the fact that she trained for over a year swimming to look like Diana Nyad, the fact that she was on set every day in the pool for 8-10 hours, just in the pool the entire time for a woman of her age, which also parallels, the physical feats of Diana Nyad, a 60-year-old swimmer who accomplishes an amazing feat from swimming from Florida, or from Cuba to Florida. So, I mean, everything on paper, the Academy is just going to eat that up. Physical performance, transformative, playing a real-life person from somebody they really enjoy. But then also, what I think helped me make this final choice and to put her in the 5th slot is to once again think ahead to the future. Okay, let's go with the Critics' Choice. Is Diana Nyad going to get nominated for Critics' Choice? I think so. The movie's being released early. It's being released on Netflix, so a lot of people will see it. Let's not forget that Critics' Choice have 6 slots, and they usually don't defer from the early group of leaders. So I think Annette Bening will slip in there. Okay, she's nominated for Critics' Choice. What about SAG? Well, SAG loves Netflix. Netflix has the largest reach. SAG has a lot of voters, so a lot of the voters have easy access to Netflix, so they see a lot of Netflix movies. As a matter of fact, the SAG Awards are going to be viewed and available to the public on Netflix this year. They bought the distribution rights of the show. I mean, let's not forget last year, The Good Nurse got nominated at SAG. Adam Sandler got nominated for Hustle, which was another Netflix movie. So SAG loves Netflix. Well, Nyad is a Netflix movie. So let's say Annette Bening gets nominated for SAG. Now she's got Critics' Choice, now she's got SAG. What about BAFTA? Well, they like her at the BAFTAs. She's been nominated just more recently for Film Stars Don't Die in Liverpool. She was nominated for the BAFTA for that film, but she wasn't nominated for the Oscar, which indicates to me that the BAFTAs actually like her probably even more than the Oscars. Next thing you know, you got SAG, BAFTA, Critics' Choice. Everything lines up. How are you not going to nominate her for Best Picture or for Best Lead Actress at the Academy? Now, I could see a situation where they don't go for it, but when we're trying to project the future, it helps to figure out what's more likely to get nominated. And I think she's going to get SAG. I think she has a strong chance at BAFTA. And if she gets in a Critics' Choice, next thing you know, she's got pretty much all the major precursors that she would need for us to predict her to get nominated at the Oscars and to sort of follow that momentum. So I think Annette Bening makes the most sense on paper to get nominated here. And so I put her in my 5th slot. And the other thing I want to mention with Annette is that if you look at the past 5 years of this category, an average of 3 out of the 5 nominees were for performances where the movie was not nominated for Best Picture. So we'll get Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie. We'll get an Ana de Armas for Blonde. These great performances whose movies are not nominated for Best Picture. Well, if you look at my 5 nominations, or if you look at your own 5, if I went with, say, Greta Lee for Past Lives in this 5th slot, then it would be 5 for 5 Best Lead Actress performances whose movies are also nominated for Best Picture. That's kind of rare. As a matter of fact, the majority, even look at something like 2021, where you had 10 movies nominated for Best Picture, none of the 5 actresses, none of their movies were nominated for Best Picture. That's an interesting stat. So I looked at my final slot and I went, you know what, I've got Anatomy of a Fall, I think it's going to get nominated for Best Picture. Poor Things, I have not for Best Picture. Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro. It's like, well, I got to have at least one performance that's going to be nominated here in this final slot that I don't think Nyad's going to get a Best Picture nomination. As a matter of fact, when you're making these decisions, those are the small things that you have to keep in mind. What does that tell us? It tells us that the actors don't necessarily need to love your movie. They need to love your performance. So in a movie like Nyad, I don't think is going to get nominated for Best Picture, but they really will enjoy the performance of Annette Bening. I think the Academy will nominate her in the fifth slot. And then my possible contenders, my first one is going to be Cailee Spaeny for Priscilla. And this is a performance that I actually see very similarly to Annette Bening's in Nyad. She's also playing a real life person. It's also a transformative kind of performance in terms of how she looks. Unlike Annette though, Cailee Spaeny has Priscilla Presley herself, who's been campaigning with her. She came to the Venice premiere. The movie is based on her book, so she has sort of a authorization with the film. Let's not forget last year, people really loved Elvis in terms of the Academy, and I think Austin Butler almost won an Oscar. So they like this Elvis story, although it is the sort of darker side of the Elvis story, so I'm not sure if the older members of the Academy will appreciate how he's being portrayed. That being said, I think there is sort of a seal of approval for the fact that Priscilla Presley is, campaigning and responsible and a part of the film. And the Oscars have shown to appreciate these sort of complicated star performances of famous people. Diane Nyad is known, but isn't as famous as someone like Priscilla Presley. There's a little flash to that. So if you look at the performances, and they're pretty similar in terms of their narrative, in terms of how they're positioned, sometimes you may just go, well, maybe the Oscars will go for the younger actress versus the actress they've nominated a bunch of times. Or maybe they'll go the opposite. They'll go with the actress they've nominated a bunch of times instead of the young actress. It's going to be difficult to say for sure. I went with Annette Bening just because she has that factor of she's been nominated before, but it's tough to say, so that's why she's a possible contender, and I kept Cailee Spaeny on the outside. And then my other possible contender I went with is Greta for Past Lives. I believe in the film, but I have to sort of see the support for it. In terms of Critics' Choice, I expect it to get well nominated, but in SAG, that's sort of, I think, the real key awards group, where if Greta gets nominated for SAG, that's a big thing. But unfortunately, the performance itself isn't super flashy, which usually Oscar performances are flashy. They're not as subtle as this. The filmmaking itself, very rarely do we have close-ups. I mean, her big sort of crying scene that we have at the end, which is sort of the emotional revelation of it all, is shot in like this really wide master, essentially. So we don't get the sort of big speech. We don't get the close-up where you get that big Oscar moment. It's a very subtle performance. It doesn't have a lot of expressing of emotions all the time. It's an excellent performance, but it's not necessarily the most obvious performance to reward in the film. I think people are going to appreciate the writing more so than they will the performances. But Greta is out there. She was at Paris Fashion Week sitting right beside Anna Wintour, so she's out there on the trail. I think she's a very charming person, so she really decides to campaign for the film. She can sort of gain a little bit of momentum for it. And that being said, she's still a new person, which that narrative's not going to really help, because I think Gladstone is being the sort of brand new, exciting actress. So Greta doesn't even have that sort of area to go off of, combined with the fact that she doesn't have a super obvious powerhouse performance. I think ultimately will hurt her chances within the Academy. But she's still a possible contender because of how well I think the movie will do at the Oscars. And if she does campaign, she does seem like a very charming sort of personality that will be able to get a lot of create a lot of favor within the Academy and with voters. But that's about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this category. Let me know your personal 5 ranking. Let me know if I'm crazy. Subscribe to the channel, because next week we're going to be talking about the best lead actor category. It always helps if you subscribe to the channel, or if you share this video with friends. We're back. I'd love to know that people are aware that we are back and doing the Oscars here once again for our 8th season, and that you can get consistent, reliable analysis to ultimately help you make your predictions and have a great, awesome film community. That's ultimately what this channel is all about. So as always, I am very appreciative of your support and the comments you leave down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, stay tuned.